everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Review. How are you? Today we're letting go of romances and dramas a little bit to talk about a very well executed mystery. We're talking about 9 Puzzles, which came out on Disney Plus and came to an end on June the 4th. 9 Puzzles pulls you into its dark and enigmatic universe from the very first minute, shedding layer after layer of twists and turns as we follow our protagonists towards the answers that they are looking for. Gritty, compelling, and clever, 9 Puzzles delivers a murder mystery that emulates and pays homage to all the other detective stories that came before it. This review is spoiler free, so if you haven't watched the show yet, I hope that this video helps you make up your mind. So 9 Puzzles starts 10 years ago with high schooler Yoon In-na, played by Kim Da-mi, who was the sole witness to her uncle's murder. Back then, lead investigator Kim Han-sung, played by Suk-ku, was convinced that she was a culprit, but he could never prove it. Years later, In-na becomes a skilled criminal profiler at the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency. As a new serial murder case brings In-na and Detective Kim together once again, a string of mysterious puzzle pieces leads them to the shocking truth behind her uncle's murder. Following the classic structure of traditional mystery stories, 9 Puzzles counts on a diverse and obviously suspicious cast of characters who are somehow intertwined. The threads that link them together weave this labyrinthine narrative whose layers unravel progressively throughout its 11 episodes. And then you have all those elements that any fan of Poirot or Holmes or Fletcher is used to seeing. A series of murders, a pair of intelligent detectives, and a bunch of red herrings. So nothing groundbreaking. No, nothing groundbreaking. But 9 Puzzles still has this alluring and engaging rhythm, which is effectively set by its well-rounded characters, its emotional nuance, and its visual richness. We look at the universe of 9 Puzzles through the eyes of Detective Kim and In-na, which allows us to investigate the crime alongside them. So we are constantly offered questions, and as Detective Kim and In-na guide us through their quest, we try to come up with our own answers. They are the ones opening the doors into the mystery that surrounds them, and also opening the doors into their own personas. Because by allowing Detective Kim's and In-na's perspectives to be our own, the show is encouraging us to empathize with them as they are forced to face facts that they would rather not face. We soon realize that they may not be heroic, but they are certainly human. As Detective Kim suspects In-na, and as In-na doubts her own innocence, we observe as these two connect through their similarities and learn from their differences, establishing a bond of trust and highlighting the emotional journey that they are fated to embark on. We are prompted to learn who our protagonists are as much as we are prompted to pinpoint who the criminal at the core of this plot is, because the values that motivate and challenge In-na and Detective Kim are the ones that strengthen the themes of the series and, of course, give this emotional nuance to the narrative. With every episode, we see how Kim is persistent and skeptical and stubborn, and we also see how In-na is eccentric and quick-witted and reckless, but despite their quirks and flaws, they are just good people who find themselves questioning their beliefs regarding justice, trust, and identity. So beyond the murders and the crime investigations, 9 Puzzles is a story that explores what justice means in a world ruled by money and power. Not exactly realistic, yet not entirely fantastical, Nine Puzzles lives in the gray area between the two, introducing us to strange, unconventional scenarios with recognizable events that criticize the greed and apathy that lurk in the corners of our society. Fairness in Nine Puzzles is almost illusory, as our characters might have to fight to save the corrupted and arrest the oppressed. So who can define what justice really is? As the concept of justice becomes more and more complex, our characters struggle to trust one another and even their perceptions of others. The heart of Nine Puzzles lies in how its characters reveal who they are through the choices they make, reflecting how they change and evolve and sometimes regress throughout their lives. The mosaic that makes up their identity is only partially known to the people around them, and as they learn more and more about one another, their perspectives are forced to adapt. Eventually, Detective Gim and Nena propose these questions to us, the audience. Do we really know the people around us? Do we know their innermost ghosts and demons, their beliefs and desires? As we are all transformed by our experiences, who can we really become? Our personalities are as intricate as the social and moral concepts we live by, and even in the relationships we cherish the most, we might struggle to form an accurate judgment of others. And here's where trust comes in. In the process of discovering and rediscovering our identities, our relationships are kept afloat by trust. If they wanted to find the answers they are looking for, Ina and Detective Gim needed to put their own hearts on the line, as the path towards the truth becomes ever more personal to them. It is only through the trust that they place in each other that they can continue moving forward and process the emotions that cloud their judgment. As the relationship between Detective Gim and Ina becomes stronger, it is this confidence that becomes key for them to face a world that becomes increasingly more suspicious. Because, as is often the case in this sort of story, it is the bond between our two detectives that contrasts with the main element of a good mystery, which is suspicion. Everyone can be a suspect in Nine Puzzles, reinforcing this dark and tense tone of the series and the multiple layers of this enigma that will only be fully solved in its last hour. Every clue leads to a different riddle, and the narrative refuses to offer straightforward answers to any of them, creating this very, very engaging process for us, the audience. Now, to be fair, if you put this script under the microscope, you will realize that it's not exactly flawless. However, Nine Puzzles bets on its characters to keep the show on track. It embraces their humanness, presenting them as individuals with strengths and weaknesses, with principles to uphold and desires to fulfill. With strong characterization, they naturally create the events that follow, igniting this chain of cause and effect that seems inevitable in hindsight. Nine Puzzles is fascinating thanks to how carefully this script was translated into moving images. First, the performances are impeccable. Gim Da-mi and Suk-ku are extraordinary individually and as a duo. Their chemistry is bewitching as they bounce off each other and naturally allow their dynamic to evolve throughout the series. The supporting cast is just as charismatic, which isn't a surprise once you realize that Nine Puzzles is supported by a group of extremely talented performers. Then director Yoon gives the show a very clear visual identity, from the incredibly smart opening credits to a very meticulous production design, superb compositions, and calculated use of color and light. Nine Puzzles creates visual interest in its story and allows the visuals to contribute to the construction of its mystery. The visual effects are not perfect, no, it's a fact, but add to that very, very sharp editing and a very, very strong score. And if you put it all together, you have a very, very solid production. So the question is, should you watch 9 Puzzles? Once you put all the pieces of this puzzle together, the picture that emerges is a complex, immersive, and thoughtfully executed story of murder, mystery, and intrigue. Now, if you, like me, don't really like dramas with a lot of gore or violence, rest assured that violence in 9 Puzzles is never gratuitous, and there are very few scenes with more graphic content, let's say. Instead, the show chooses to invest more in its psychological thriller side, offering this very rewarding experience through an intricate plot that will put your own deductive skills to the test. If you, also like me, like detective novels and films, you'll be happy to hear that the character of Detective Gim is a fellow fan, and you rejoice with all the references, the literary and cinematic references sprinkled throughout the show. I think that if you enjoyed dramas like TVN's Signal or JTBC's Beyond Evil, and even more recently NBC's Blackout, I think you have a good chance of enjoying 9 Puzzles too. Compelling and perfectly delivered characters, a curious conundrum to crack, exceptional visuals, and just a tad of emotional drama make 9 Puzzles very much worth a watch. So 9 Puzzles is on Disney+. So guys, quick reminder that this review is also on the Blossom Review. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to check it out. Over on Substack, we reviewed a romance this week. We reviewed TV Asahi's Changes of Heart, which you can watch on Viki. I'll also leave a link in the description. And I want to hear from you. Have you guys watched the 9 Puzzles? What did you think about it? Leave a comment, let me know. Now guys, I really hope you like this video and you subscribe so I can see you here every Thursday for a new review. Thank you so very much for being here. Have a lovely day and take very good care of yourself. I'll see you very soon. Thank you. Bye.